All right. Okay, so the poll I posted on video topics, I'm going to respond to this comment here. So this is from L.A. Leeton. Sorry if I've mispronounced that. It says, "Hi David. Interest in the appearance of seeming different states, waking, dreaming, deep sleep. How can these appearances be seen through with conviction? There is experience that all appearances are awareness, but it doesn't stay. The I thought can be seen as the origin of identification. How can the spell of personal existence be dispelled? Thank you." So this commenter is pretty much like who I'm making these videos for, because the sincere, it seems like from the comment, the sincere inquiries there. There's and also in there's the let's say awareness recognizing itself. There's clarity there. There's simple clear recognition of the fabric of experience, so to speak, or that which can't be removed from experience. You could call it awareness, or the sense of I am, or consciousness, or knowingness, or whatever. But the commenter is attentive to what's happening there, which is there is a kind of fixation on different states, or the stabilization or ongoingness of a specific state, and there's the recognition and experience there that there's something that's happening that is suggesting with reality that this recognition of a awareness, let's say, recognizing itself, the fundamental and irremovable quality of experience is clear in a moment, and then something seems to be suggesting that that's not always the case, and it's suggesting that from a subjective view as an experience, and of course it's suggesting that in a time narrative along a timeline, because the only way different states can exist with separate and distinct qualities is across a linear timeline. So it suggests the existence of time. So this is kind of like the perfect situation, because all of this commenter's kind of answered all of their questions in that, showing that there is an awareness and an attentiveness of what's actually happening in experience. But there is a kind of blind spot there, and that there is still confusion, there is still doubt. There's something happening to make this kind of like a transient experience, the experience of clarity, and then the experience of the suggestion of not clarity, or being pulled away from that simple, obvious, clear recognition into a form of identification with a subjective view and different states, different qualities of experience. And in my experience, this is kind of like the last fixation, and it's kind of like a hidden fixation. It's a kind of so you know, going from this comment, it seems like the person who's commenting has done a lot of the inquiry and has seen through a great deal of the obstructions, seen through a great deal of the identification in mind. And in seeing through that, it becomes clear a lot of what we were once identified with that felt like me and felt like just the way it is, has been seen for what it is, which is a thoughts. But what tends to happen is there's a thought that's catching attention in a way, or there's a thought that is being identified with, and it's often when that happens, it doesn't feel like it's a thought, it feels like what's happening, or it feels like the way it is, or it feels like my experience, what I am. It's not being recognized as such as a thought, because when it's recognized as such, it loses its power. It might come back with reality, but again, then when it's recognized as such, as a thought, it loses its power. And that's what takes the reality away from that thought experience. It takes the identity out of it and makes it appear neutral, just a thought, just the coming and going of a thought. So like you said in the comment, there's a fixation there on different states, or maintaining a state. And I would suggest that the fixation there is the attempt to, in some way, comprehend this from a subjective point of view, as the experiencer, as the practicer. So there's something that's trapping you back into identified thoughts, that's assuming this position of the subject in mind. It's like a snap back to that position where we are relating to experience being something other than what we are. And when that happens, it takes on objective qualities like time, different states, different thoughts, a narrative, and so on. And it's like intuitively we can feel that that's happening. So at one level there's an awareness of that's happening, and we can maybe communicate that in language, but at another level it's confusing, and it's kind of like the identification's there before it's noticed, and then we notice something's happened. We notice something seems to have pulled us away from this, and in retrospect it's like, okay, something happened to make this seem, this, what I know myself to be at a deep and intuitive level, to make that seem like not the case. So there's a complexity happening, it's a movement that's happening, it's like an effort that's happening, and that movement takes place in mind as the subject, And then before we know it, we're relating to our experience to try and qualify it or judge it or assess it for its qualities. Like, what is this experience? Is this awake? Is this unawake? And that's a movement. That's an activity. So that's just kind of touching on, from experience, what could be happening there. See if you can kind of identify with that or relate to that in your own experience. So then we'll move away from that and we'll go direct, and we can see that there's a recognition in your experience. Something notices what's happening consciously. So you could call that like a miniature awakening. Something notices what's happening, and there's an attentiveness to this. So we might be running with or absorbed with a narrative, or we might automatically assume that through habit force, that subjective position, and we're relating to experience, but then there's something else there, something more complete, something more intangible, and at a level there's a recognition of that. There's then the option there to notice what's happening in immediacy, because these thoughts are only seen for what they are in immediacy, right now, as it's happened, as it's already happened, or already happening, you could say. So when there is that recognition, we can almost check in and see, at any point in my experience, when I care to look, to check into my experience directly, is this happening in awareness? Anytime we can do this. Even when we notice or recognize the thoughts that say, I lost this recognition, I lost this clear sight, or this awake simplicity. Is that thought appearing in and as awareness? Is there any point in time, whenever I care to check, that this isn't aware right now? And then, what's happening to suggest the reality of there being this that's not aware or unawake? What's happening, and it's always happening right now, that is suggesting that this isn't already the case? That what I recognized in my experience, and this might appear as I recognized it at a past time, but I know I've recognized that experience. What's making it look like right now that that's not the case here in immediacy? Is awareness aware? Is my experience aware of itself? Can what I recognized clearly be removed from experience ever? Is it ever not the case? So these questions are there to direct attention towards itself right now, not to for fuel to engage with a story about I got it, I lost it, or half in, half out experience, which is so common on this, but to simply point to what's here right now, and it is never not here. Because different states come and go, different thoughts relating to my experience come and go, different apparent qualities of experience. There being clarity, there being not clarity, there being one thought, there being another. All of that comes and goes. But what doesn't come and go, all of that can be removed from experience. It can not be here, apparently. What can't not be here? What can't be removed from experience? What's too simple, too primary, or too fundamental to not be the case? So getting in touch with this simplicity, awareness, what you are, awareness recognizes itself in immediacy, and then remain attentive to what movement is happening here into that subjective position to relate to this, that's monitoring the experience, that's looking to label the experience right now, and it always happens right now, to qualify it as awake or not awake, even simple or complex. That movement to that assumed subjective position that might just seem like it's always here. That's where we move from. That's where we are. But based on what you said in the comment, that clear and simple recognition, like I said, I'll phrase it this way, of awareness recognizing itself, is there on some level, is here right now. There's something covering it up, so to speak, but it's not really, because what's covering it up is made of it. What seems to be suggesting not clarity is made itself of pure clarity, or what seems to be suggesting not presence is made itself of pure presence, the thought. There's this function going on that's happening. And the core of that function is what feels like me as a subject. When we assume this subjective position of the one in here, separate in experience, relating to experience as if that's something that's happening to me, that position, that separate me, that discrete thinker in the mind, is the only thing that can label experience as having different qualities, different times, different features, things coming and going with reality. But what's more real than that? Because if this is already the case, if this can't be removed from experience, for that to become clear, what can be removed from experience, what comes and goes, just needs to relax down. And that's very much an activity, a movement. That activity, that movement, happens on its own. So it can't be controlled, but we can dilate out, let's say, simplify out our attention, relax out our attention from that direct focus on the thoughts that are making it look like there are different experiences, that there are multiple distinct things or distinct qualities of experience that have their own value. Relax that out, relax that out. Relax that out into what I feel like I am. It's noticing all this, it's noticing different qualities, different states, that views them with importance, that this is something that needs to be discerned or figured out. Relax out until that one comes into focus. Strange thing is, it doesn't come into focus from the view of that one. You could say it's like the context thought that's linking all of the thoughts together. There's like a theme, like a context in this fixation on different states. And that theme and context is just, it's what feels like me as the one in this, but it's only suggested in the content of the thoughts. The way the thoughts are talking backward extrapolates this subject into existence. And it makes it seem like this isn't something that's not already inherent, not already the case. That awakeness can't be removed from experience. All experience is awake, or awareness, or knowingness. Anything that appears in this experience, inexclusive of anything, is wide awake and aware, is made of what you are at the most fundamental and free and irremovable level. But it can't be found objectively. That self-confined, objectively different states, and think about them and seem to experience them. But that's only rendered as a story in mind. You could say it's like layered on top of what's already here, but also made of it. Let me have a look at this comment again. How can they be seen through with conviction, these appearances? How can these appearances be seen through with conviction? There is experience that all appearances are awareness, but it doesn't stay. Yeah. So the key, right? The key in this is the one that's viewing these, that seems to be viewing these appearances. The appearances that come and go in this case are thoughts. If the thoughts seem like reality, if they seem like a way it is that's real, we miss that they're thoughts. But the key in this is the one, the subject, that's relating to these thoughts, that's relating to these different appearances, different states, different qualities of experience. And that one seems constant. seems like it's always here, links it all together as a subject relating to these objects that come and go. When there's importance on these comings and goings, these objects, it assumes the reality of that one. The one is looked, let's say, looked from or looked past, or we're looking from the assumption of that one at these objects, these appearances that are coming and going, these thoughts. But where is the one observing this? Where is the subject relating to these objects? Where am I in this? Or you could say, where am I the awareness in which these appearances appear? Looking that way, we hit the limits of the objective mind, because that awareness can never be found in the objective sense. But the looking does something. It's quite paradoxical, but it almost like in the moment defuses the power of that objective mind, of that focus of attention on the objective thoughts. And it might appear like doubt, like a doubt that this isn't already the case. And that doubt feels like a real experience that I'm having, that defines my reality, that defines my experience of myself as the way it is what's actually happening. But that looking, or that inquiry back the way towards the one who's experiencing doubt, the one who's relating to all this, can kind of break the momentum of that objective thought narrative, can kind of interrupt this subjective view, holding a position, watching the objective thoughts go by. And in that instant, there's a simplicity, an already so-ness, an isness, an intangible presence that's just here. But then through habit force it starts back up again, and so to speak, you can observe that happening. From no particular position, it becomes clear that's happening. And then again, come back to what the mind sees as uninteresting, because there's nothing it can label as a state or this and that. It's nothing that it can confirm or conclude as a way it is. So then it moves to figure out the way it is. What state is this? Is this awakeness? Is this it? Is this awakening? What's that? All these kind of, and it's very quick. It might not be a narrative like that. It's very quick. That subjective position comes online, asserts itself as what's actually happening. Then that can be recognised, and we can come back to what is uninteresting from that position. because again it can't be understood and it's already here. That thing that comes online consistently looks past it because it's looking for something else. It's looking for something that's not this, that's a conclusion that it can view from that subjective position and relate to it and confirm, yes, this is awakeness, this is awareness. So from that point of view of the mind, it's very unsatisfying because it likes to move, it likes two-ness, it likes to conclude and confirm this or that, different states. It's unsatisfying, it's not satisfied with this simplicity because that simplicity doesn't exist in its world. It comes before the movements of mind into this and that. So it keeps trying to move, but it always happens now. Hold on. Oh, that didn't work. I just have to be blind in one eye. So bring our attention back to what am I that's already here? Because I'm here. What am I that can't be removed from experience or my experience? What's the most inherent of experience? What's already here? Because I am already here, that's clear. So let's get in touch with what I am that can't be removed from experience. What I am that's completely inherent. And then we're just attentive. Experience is. It's wide awake. I am wide awake. I am completely aware. And then we watch for the movement that appears within what I fundamentally and inherently already am that's here. That movement's going to appear as a subjective view. That movement's going to try and define experience and relate to it from this position of me the thinker, me the one, the subject in mind. Now we just watch for that movement. It'll likely appear as a doubt. Is this it? It might not be a mental narrative, it might just be a quick idea. Is this it? What about this? Is awakening happening yet? Conclusions, definitions, distinctions. Is this the correct state? Am I in touch with awakeness? So on and so on. Anything like that. This can't be it. Anything like that, just watch. It'll be the one that appears that doesn't feel like a thought, that feels like inherently what's actually happening here. That feels like me, what I am. So we watch. True nature is beyond conclusions. It clarifies in the absence of conclusions and definitions. in the absence of a confirmation from that subjective view. Any movement of mind that relates to our experience as the one in it is made of true nature, is made of what's inherently already here, that I already am. And this is ongoing. This is always here beyond time. Notice the sense of urgency that movement appears with to try and conclude or confirm or label or define. Notice that itself appears in and as what you are, pure awake and present awareness. And just come back to what can't be removed from experience, that I am made of, that's already here. So when we get a taste for this, when this is clear, then we can start interacting spontaneously with our environment. Because this wide awake present experience, this miracle of life, is here. And we don't need to adopt the position of the one in it for it to interact with itself. So then we can start exploring the sensation, moving around and doing things without this preoccupation of this subjective position in mind. It needs to conclude and confirm and define something about this for it to be what it is. And in that it just gets so simple. So you let me know if that helped. If this helped and it was suddenly clear in experience, and it might appear at like a level that's more subtle and intuitive, but more simple and direct than the doubts that are appearing, because there might still be like some importance and fixation in those doubts. You can intuitively know how to attune to that in your experience, and then you can have that as a practice to attune to what's simple, what can't be removed from experience, and then see if anything that appears in experience is other than that, is separate from that, and it'll gradually become more overt in experience. It'll gradually clarify in a very simple and direct way, but it's not going to be satisfying to that subjective view in mind. Okay, I have to go, but let me know how you get on. I'll talk to you next time.